to read a story from the Bible this morning that is leading up to Jesus's death. So in the month of April, there is a big thing that's happening next Sunday. And do you guys know what that is? What's happening next Sunday?
Easter.
Easter, right. And by chance, do you know what is special about Easter?
That Jesus rose again.
Yeah, there we go. So, but for him to rise again, something bad has to happen, and that is he is going to die. And so we're going to read about that, and the story that we're reading is actually kind of what happened before that. So we know that Jesus died, and Jesus, that's where you see crosses, and he died on a cross. And next Sunday on Easter, we talk about the fact that he rose from the dead, and which we're really excited about. But before that happened, something else happened. And that's what we're going to read about, and that's what you guys are going to read. You're going to read the story this morning for us. This story, if you follow along, you can see on my screen, it's Matthew chapter 26, and then 36 through 56. And Tia and TJ are going to read for us. And first, we're going to read about what's happening this is the night that Jesus was arrested, and he was going to go on trial, and then he was eventually going to die. But he goes to this place first called, how do you think you pronounce that word? It's a weird one. And no matter how you pronounce it, I always say in KidzSpace, if you don't know how to pronounce something, it doesn't matter, because adults don't know how to pronounce it either. So how do you think that word is pronounced? Take a best guess.
Get this. Wait. Get this. Wait.
That's about as good of a guess as you.
Gassaman? Gassaman?
Good try. So that's it. Here's the thing. Adults don't know how to pronounce that either. So you're in good company. It's Gethsemane. Gethsemane. You would not have guessed that. There's no way. It's a weird word. So well, let's pick up and let's start reading what happens this is on the night Jesus was arrested. Let's find out what happens.
Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned.
Let me pause let's pause right there real quick. So we see what happens is Jesus knew what was going to happen to him. He actually knew that he was going to die on the cross. And so he did not want to die on the cross. So he prayed to his Father and said, "Hey, I know you have this whole idea, but if it could just not happen, that'd be great." But he said, "But listen, however you want it to happen, it can happen." Now, he asked all his friends to kind of stay around and wait and pray for him. So let's find out what happens. Go ahead.
Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Couldn't you mean keep watch with me for 1 hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, May your will be done. When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to his disciples, said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivering into the hand of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayers."
Okay, thanks. Thanks, TJ. So, just to say that what happened here is that the idea that the disciples were sleeping, and and just to check, can you guys hear me okay? I changed over to the computer audio.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, thanks so much for reading. So just saying that with the disciples, let me change this so you can make this a little bigger. I can't really make it bigger. Let me just try. Let's just do it that way. Okay. So the disciples were sleeping, and Jesus said, "Listen, guys, this is really, 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 really important to me. Something really bad's about to happen to me. Can you guys just stay awake?" And they're like, "Sure, Jesus." And they fell asleep. Have you guys ever tried to stay awake and you just fell asleep? Have you guys ever tried really, really hard to stay awake? Have you ever stayed up all night?
Yes. Yeah.
What? When have you stayed up all night?
We tried to stay up all night yesterday, but I fell asleep.
All right. Sometimes on New Year's, sometimes people, there are times people stay up all night. But I just say it's kind of hard to do, to stay up all night. So, this was really late in the evening, and all of the disciples fell asleep. So Jesus knew what was about to happen. So then he says, "Listen, guys, it's about to happen. Look, here comes the police, and he is about to be arrested." So let's find out what happens next. Miss Tia, pick up where we left off.
Jesus arrested. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer and had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man, arrest him." Going at once to Jesus, Jesus said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus.
Can I pause you right there, Tia? So just understand, so Judas was one of Jesus's closest friends. There were 12 guys that were like his closest buddies, and they followed him around everywhere. One of them, Judas, betrayed Jesus. It was like if it's one of your best friends told one of your secrets. You said, "Listen, don't tell anyone this." And you told your best friend that you liked a girl or some, liked a girl in your class. "Don't tell anyone." And then that friend went and told everyone. It would be very, very, very upsetting. Except this is, Judas actually went to the police and said, "Hey guys, come here. I don't know where Jesus is." And he gave them a sign. Now, when it says kiss, it's just saying that back then and at this time, people would kind of kiss each other on the cheek as a way to greet each other. They'd say, "Hey," if you've ever had an aunt or an uncle or somebody, when you greeted them and they kind of, kiss you on the cheek, it's a thing. It's a way of greeting each other. So Judas walks up to Jesus, and the police are all behind him. And he says, "Jesus, hey!" And then he kisses him on the cheek. So then Jesus said, Tia, you can continue.
Jesus replied, Do what you came for, friend. Then the man stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. Put the sword back in its place. Jesus said to him, For all who drew the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disciples' disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled? Then say it must happen in this way. In the hour, Jesus said to the crowd, I am leading a
Rebellion.
rebellion that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me. Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples deserted him and fled.
All right, thanks, Tia. Great job. So yeah, so you can imagine this was a crazy, chaotic scene. Imagine you and your disciples are hanging out. It's dark. They're in by this forest, and out comes this large group of police officers, and there's Judas. Hey, Jesus! And then all of a sudden, Jesus is arrested, and it's just crazy where the police are probably like, "Get him!" And they grab Jesus, and the one guy, Peter, steps forward and grabs his sword. Is like, "Ah!" And then Jesus is like, "Hey, whoa, let's not." And just kind of told Peter to put the sword away, because that's where Peter and the disciples, they were about to fight. And this was going to be this huge battle between the disciples and the police officers, and they were going to battle. But Jesus said, no. That's not what we're doing here. He says, listen, am I leading an army? I'm not. This is not what I'm doing. This is not a physical battle. And so he told them to put it away. So with this, Jesus was arrested. And this led to a trial where he was put on, and he was found guilty. And then it's led to him being killed. So next Sunday is Easter, when Jesus rose from the dead. And we are going to talk about that next week. Okay? Thank you guys so much for reading the story. It's I think everyone who watches the videos, you'll be glad not to see me read it every time. And I think it's much cooler if some cool kids can read it. So I'm glad you guys can read it.
Welcome.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop our recording. Hold on a second. And all of you guys in KidzSpace, we will see you later. And I'm just need to figure out how to stop my recording. There we go.